when it was time for Tommy to go to school, he didn't want to go. He was a little bit of a spoiled little child. He always wanted mommy and daddy and didn't want to go anywhere else. And so my husband said, why don't you homeschool him? I had never even heard of homeschooling. I didn't know what that was. And so I decided to call my local school and get information on it. And we did it the first year. And it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And every year I would say, well, we're just going to do 1 year at a time. You know, maybe next year he'll go to school. But we just loved it. We fell in love with it. We loved just being able to be together all the time, being able to go wherever we wanted to go, field trips, parks. And I've met some of my best friends and his best friends, like Molly Cody and Ryan, and Sharon Carton and James, and Casey and Shandon. We all met at a park day. That's how we all met, through homeschooling. And it was a real joy to do it. Well, one favorite thing that I can remember is, I think Tommy was probably in first grade, and we were learning about minerals. And I went over to the Lakeshore store and I bought a box of minerals. And if you break them open, they look beautiful. So I planted a whole bunch of them down my hillside. And so after we learned about the minerals on paper in the books, we said, let's go outside and see if we can find any. And so Tommy had a basket, and you know, I would kind of point some out. Oh, what about that one? That one looks nice. And once he had enough in his basket, we came up and he took a hammer and he broke them open, and he was in awe of how beautiful these rocks were. That's just one of the many, many things that we did. We love experiments, making plants sweat, you know, the photosynthesis, going to museums. Everything you need is in the books. You're given everything that you need. I would tell anyone who would want to homeschool, you can't mess up. You can only give them so much more. They have so much more to gain. You know, they know how to read and write and count. They're doing just fine. Well, I think we certainly were able to instill Jesus in their hearts and set a foundation. And character-wise, just to build them up in the things of the Lord, which, you know, when they leave your home so early, it's kind of hard to do that because they have other role models that they're around all day long. But when you're home, you are their role model, and you can correct their behavior from a young age and just teach them the ways of the Lord. You know, and not everything was perfect. It's never perfect, but that's when you have teachable moments, when they're not perfect, when you have problems, when you have trials and tribulations, is when those are the teachable moments. Oh, to me, homeschooling has been really important, because you're right, it's not just about, I'm a stay-at-home mom, ship off my kids, pick them up, run around, do stuff. Homeschooling them has been another great joy in my life. That's when you feed into them. That time that you spend with them, that's when you teach them and you grow with them. And it's not always perfect. We had lots of days when Mom was stressed. You know, sometimes I yelled when I shouldn't have yelled. But it's important to also say you're sorry, because that's another way to model to them that we need to say sorry when we do things that aren't right. You know, I lost my temper. I'm sorry I yelled at you. This is what I would like for you to do. you have learning moments not only for them but for yourself. And so I think that we're all building our character. And I think that's just so important to me. If you can keep your kids home, kindergarten, first grade, wonderful. It's so wonderful. Longer, excellent. Wherever the Lord leads. And I've just learned that even though my kids are in public school this year, because I was so broken about that last year, I cried and cried last May. I went to enroll them in public school, and I just cried. And when I cleaned out all their books, it took me weeks because I was going through every journal. And I just want to say, Annalise and I had a journal like this, and every day she would write me a note, and she would tell me about yesterday's day, how it went. And she would always say, "Dear Mom, yesterday was the greatest day ever. I did this or I did that." And she would just express herself so sweetly. And then on the back page, I would write her a note about that. And I have that journal, and it's so special to me. And when I was cleaning everything out, I was just in tears, thinking, I gotta send my kids to public school. But the Lord has given me peace over it, because I feel that the most important was that foundation. You gotta let your kids go sometime. You can't keep them in a bubble forever. But I'm so thankful that God gave me the years with them that He did.